All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all very much for joining us. My name is Ben Juliana. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the Associate Director of Orientation here in New Student and Family Programs at American University. We are really excited that you are joining us for our first of a five-part series for the New Eagle Essentials webinars, where this is supposed to work in tandem with your exploration of the flight ready courses or the SOAR and support courses that you find on Canvas. So this works really in tandem with that, where last week you were supposed to kind of review and work your way through the Your AU student account section of it. And now you're back for some more with some more information and then a quick question and answer session from some of the folks behind all of the great resources in the Your AU student account section of Canvas. As one of our guests already asked, yes, this is being recorded. So feel free to enjoy your time here. And then we'll also have this posted on our New Eagle Essentials webpage within the next couple of days or so. Um, but with that, I really wanted to go ahead and get started. I am going to turn my video off just to make sure that we're focusing on the content in front of us, and we will go on from there. But to start off, these are our three services that we are going over today. AU Central Tuition Refund Insurance and Veterans Benefits, with Jean Logan and Alicia Marsh, who are part of our AU Central, followed by Financial Aid from Shirley McDonald, the Director of Financial Aid. And then we get into our final resource of the day, One Card and Mail Services with Precious Smith, the Associate Director of Auxiliary Services. At the end of that, we'll have a quick question and answer session where we're going to ask you to write all of your questions in the chat, and then we will work to facilitate that appropriately. But with that, I'd like to turn it over to Jean Logan, Director of AU Central, to get us started.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Happy Tuesday, everyone. My name is Gene Logan. I'm the director of AU Central. So I'm here to talk to you about what our office does and how you, as an admitted student and your parent or guardian who may also be on this call, will interact with us. We are the one-stop student service center, primarily covering student accounts, registration, and veteran services. That first picture that you saw on the slide was where we are located in the Asbury building on campus. We're in the North Wing, room 201. So I encourage you to visit us when you arrive on campus in August. So, a couple things I'm going to cover here today. First off, I want to say that your role here is to be a student, right? We want you to go to class, we want you to participate and learn and grow. But as a student, there are a number of things that you have to do, kind of like the administrative tasks that you have to complete as a student at a university. So that's a lot of what AU Central does in helping you and your parents or guardians. So during my time period here this evening, I'm going to talk about when the tuition bill is due and talk about how you can pay, how parents and guardians are going to be able to access the bill. I'm going to talk about the health insurance waiver process and tuition refund insurance. One thing I like to tell all of our students is and parents that if you have a question and you don't know who to contact, AU Central is a great place to start, right? Just by virtue of our name, we get a lot of random inquiries, but that's fine. I have 8 cross-trained student services counselors on my staff who, if they don't know the answer to your question, they will know who on campus does. All right, so let's talk about the billing timeline. So, as newly admitted students, congratulations, everyone. A bill is going to be created for you once you register for your classes, right? So it's right around this time when you're going to start planning and registering for your classes. So as soon as you register for your classes, you'll be able to go online to your student portal and see the billing statement there. All of our billing information is online on the student portal, right? We do not mail paper bills. So as soon as you register for classes, that billing statement will be created and you'll be able to see it online as the student. And I'll talk in a moment about how parents and guardians can access that information. Once you register, you'll look online and see those tuition charges, but the bill is not complete yet. We ask all of our campus partners to make sure that if there's anything that they do that touches the bill, that they do that by July 1st. So that means if you're living on campus, then your housing charges will be posted by July 1st. A meal plan will be posted by July 1st. Financial aid, if you're receiving that, will show is on the bill or anticipated by July 1st. All right. So while you will be able to see the bill as soon as you register, it's not going to be complete until July 1st. At that time, we are going to send an email to the student telling them that their bill is complete and ready to view online. The fall bill is due on August 1st. Okay. So one of the most important things I want you all to learn from me tonight is the fact that that is a soft deadline. We want to give you, our new students, as well as all of our students, ample time to make whatever financial arrangements they need to make in order to pay that bill. That could include signing up for a payment plan, which I'll talk about, accessing money from a 529 or prepaid college savings plan. I'll talk about that. Applying for a loan. Charlene will talk about that. Anything that you need to do in order to pay that bill, sometimes that is not going to be done by August 1st. That's fine. We want you to subtract any anticipated aid from any source in order to see what, if anything, is due by that August 1st bill deadline. All right. So as I said, students automatically have access to their bill because it's their bill. The student is the student. They register for classes, they attend classes. This is their billing statement. If someone other than the student is responsible for paying the bill, which is happens in many cases, of course, then the student has to authorize proxy access for that person to be able to view and pay the bill online. And this is something that I encourage your students to do as soon as possible. They do this by going into their billing statement on their portal. And in the upper right-hand corner, I have a little screenshot at the bottom of the screen here. They click on their login and they can view or add proxy access. So this allows them to add parent or guardian, both parents, grandparents, whomever they choose to be able to get their own login credentials and view the billing statement online and pay the billing statement online. The other nice thing about proxy access is when a bill is due or there's been a change made to the bill, we send an email to the student as well as the proxy, right? So if the student is not the one who's going to be managing the payment of that bill, it's very important for them to grant proxy access. All right, other payment options we have available. I mentioned 529 and prepaid college savings plans. There are hundreds of them out there. We work with them all. Everyone could potentially be a little bit different. Some of them are going to send the money to you and you turn around and send it to the school. Others are going to send the money directly to the school. Some might want the school to send a billing statement directly to the 529 plan. So whatever it is that you need from us, you would contact AU Central and we'll provide that information for you to be able to access those funds. And again, those funds are unlikely to be here by August 1st. That's fine. If you know that all or part of your payment on your billing statement is going to be made from a 529 plan, subtract it. What I don't want to see any of our families do is to pay for something now that is going to be covered by another source later. All right, so you can easily subtract that and make a partial payment. Many of our students also receive outside scholarships. Oftentimes, there's a proof of enrollment that is required. in order for the student to access those funds from whoever they're getting that award from. You contact AU Central and we'll provide you proof that the student is enrolled in classes, and then that scholarship money can be sent here to the school and posted to the account. And then finally, VA educational benefits. My colleague Alicia is going to talk about that in a moment. She's got her own slide, so she'll tell you more information about that for those students who fall under that category. Right. The university offers a payment plan. So if you don't sign up for a payment plan, then the fall bill, as I said, is due August 1st. The spring bill will be due January 4th, right? We have 2 semesters. If you sign up for one of our payment plans, then your full fall semester payments are divided into 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. I'm sorry, 5, 4, 3, or 2 month plans. There's a $50 charge each semester to sign up for that, and payment is due on the first of each month, right? So that is not a soft deadline. If you have signed up for the payment plan, then you are committed to signing up and paying by the first of each month. You are assigned a payment plan based on when you submit the payment plan application. So if you submit a payment plan application anytime between now and July 15th, you will automatically be signed up for the 5 month payment plan with your first payment starting on August 1st. Health insurance. AU Central manages the health insurance process, and we've been getting questions from our admitted students asking about this already. So we partner with Aetna to offer health insurance to our students. It is a requirement that you are covered under health insurance. Once you register for in at least 12 credits, so full time, you will see that health insurance fee posted to your student account. $2,506 covers you from August 1st through July 30th. Okay, for the full year, or I'm sorry, July 31st, right? So for the full year. If you, as a student, are covered under another comparable plan, then you can submit an appeal to waive that $2,500. Okay. You can't submit an appeal until after you have been registered full-time and charged for the health insurance. I would also ask that after you are charged that health insurance fee, you wait about 48 hours before you try to submit a waiver, just so the waiver system can be updated with your information. If you know you are covered by another policy, then you want to make sure that you do submit a waiver by the deadline of September 9th, because late waivers cannot be accepted. If you don't submit a waiver, then you will be enrolled in the university's health insurance plan through Aetna. You have to submit a waiver each year. All right. Each year that you register in the fall semester full time, you'll be charged the health insurance fee, submit proof of comparable coverage, and you have that waived. Tuition refund insurance. This is a great plan. We partner with GradGuard, an outside provider of insurance for our students. This is optional, but highly recommended. You would pay GradGuard directly if you want to purchase a policy to cover your costs here at the university. If the student has to withdraw from all of their classes beyond the fourth week of the semester, then they'll still be charged fully for their tuition. Okay, so if they have to withdraw for a medical reason, mental health, physical health reason, other covered reasons, then they will still be charged for their tuition based on um, the academic calendar of the university and our refund policy. If you purchase refund insurance at a cost of approximately $110 for every $10,000 worth of coverage, then you can get 100% of your charges covered by that. So again, we never know what's going to happen. That's what insurance does. It just covers us in case something happens and we have to withdraw from our classes, go home and get better. And that makes it so much easier to be able to get better and then come back and continue at AU without having to worry about that large tuition bill. So again, I highly encourage it. It is optional, not required. You will pay GradGuard directly. It does not appear on your student account. All right, Alicia, tell us about VA educational benefits.
Yes, so the Veteran Services Office is actually located within AU Central, as Jean mentioned. And so if you are a student that is using VA education benefits, that's any chapter. So Chapter 33, the post 9/11 GI Bill, Chapter 31, VRNE, any benefit, you're going to come through our office. And what you'll want to do is you first will want to get us a certificate of eligibility. That's going to be the first step in order for us to process your VA education benefits. And so you can get that certificate of eligibility through va.gov, and you can send it to us. You can send a snapshot or even take a picture of it. We don't need the original, and that's going to prompt all of the next steps that you'll need. And so the next thing that you'll do is fill out a yellow ribbon application if you are using the post 9/11 GI Bill at the 100% benefit rate, and you're going to complete a request for certification form. Those are the main three steps that you'll do to prompt our office to make sure that all of the information that's needed for the VA is sent in a timely manner. And so I have a couple screenshots here. So if you want to look at a more detailed checklist that just goes over everything that you need as a new student to process the VA benefits, there's a code there that you can scan. If you need to make an appointment with us, if you want to talk by phone or a Zoom appointment or just have questions, you can email us at veterans with an S at american.edu. And we are here to help all of our military connected students. So if you have a question as a military connected student, whether or not you're using VA benefits, please contact our office. We also have a veterans lounge that's right next to AU Central in the Asbury building that as a military connected student, you're able to use. So please reach out so that you can get access to that. And if you have any questions along the way, just as AU Central is a one-stop for questions you have, we are a one-stop if you have any questions as a military connected student.
So, Alicia, approximately how many military connected students do we have at the university?
Yeah, so for our undergrad and graduate students, we have roughly 350 students. So we have quite a few military connected students, and that's just students that are using VA benefits. So we have a lot of students that are attending that may have served or had family that served that aren't using benefits. So we have a really great military community here at AU. We also have some student clubs if you're interested in joining, like our military connected club, as well as we have ROTC on campus if that's something you're interested in too. Stop by our office or send us an email and we can get you connected.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Alicia. And then my last slide is I'll just share it, because I know this is being recorded. You can come here. Here's just, some bullet points of everything that I talked about today with some high level reminders. If you follow through with all these, which correspond with the new student checklist, then you will be all good to start in the fall. So thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Jean and Alicia. With that, we're going to transition to the next portion of this, which is all about understanding financial aid. So I would like to welcome Charlene to this metaphorical podium.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Charlene McDonald. I am the director in the financial aid office. And really, I just want to kind of go over very briefly, what the next steps are, which you should know, and hopefully provide you with some guidance as to how to ensure that there's smooth processing of your financial aid. So today we're going to cover the contact information for the student's assigned financial aid counselor. Every student has an assigned financial aid counselor. Whether or not the student is a recipient of financial aid, they still have an assigned financial aid counselor who's happy to assist with questions regarding outside scholarships or other aid-related questions. So we'll talk a bit about what you should remember, the aid requirements to ensure that students are able to retain their aid. We'll talk very specifically about what our students and families should be doing right now. And then finally, we'll talk a bit about the overall financial aid timeline, it is a cyclical process. And so I want to make sure that families are aware of what's to come. The best way to get a hold of the financial aid office is through our main site, which is american.edu/financial aid. On the left navigation menu, you'll see the option to contact us. Once you select that option, it'll come to a main page that instructs students to select the initial of their last name. That's how we assign students to their counselor. Once that's done, the page that pops up is the counselor's directory page, which will provide the direct telephone number of the counselor, an option to schedule a virtual appointment. And so the counselor's calendar will appear, and you can select a time and date that works for you. It also provides all of our students with our email address, which is financialaid@american.edu. And while that seems to be just a general email, we are leveraging technology so that if the student is emailing from their AU issued account, it will route that inquiry directly to the assigned student's counselor. And even if there is another email that's utilized to contact our office, so long as the student is referenced, the inquiry will be routed to the student's assigned counselor. So parents, if you're sending an email, please reference your student's name and AUID so that we'll be able to properly route those inquiries. The number one thing that I am going to stress, and just as Jean stressed, we will be communicating via email. Your AU issued email is the main vehicle that we'll use to contact our students. For those who are recipients of need-based aid is any assistance that we've provided, such as an AU grant, or a federal Pell Grant, or federal loans, or federal work study. Anything having to do with any of those aid programs is considered need-based aid, and thus students must complete a free application for federal student aid every year by the 1st of May, which is our priority deadline at American University. Federal work study, students who have been awarded work study are eligible to use those funds once they find employment on campus, and we have a number of resources to assist students in that process. There's a fair in the fall. There's information that will be provided by our Career Center along with our human resource partner, in which we have a joint fair for all students, those with work study and those who are just seeking student wage positions on campus. So even if a student hasn't been awarded work study, there's plenty of employment opportunities for students on campus. And keep in mind that those funds, while they're coming from federal sources, and that's why they're considered financial aid, will be paid directly to the student in the form of wages for the number of hours that they've worked, and will not be applied directly to the student bill. So how do we ensure that our students continue to retain their eligibility for financial aid? Super important. The aid that students have been provided, both AU grant and merit funding, requires that students be enrolled at least in 12 credit hours or full-time during each semester. And the academic year, traditional academic year, consists of the fall and spring semester. The only exception are for students who are in a 3-year intensive program, and they're specifically designed to attend summer sessions, at which point they have the ability to enroll in summer and may not necessarily need to be enrolled in 12 credits during summer to continue to receive eligibility for the grant and merit funding. So that's the only exception. For all other students, if you are not in a 3-year intensive program, you must remain continuously enrolled, meaning from the first day after the add drop period all the way till the end, that very last day of class, you must be enrolled in at least 12 credit hours in order to keep your funding. Dropping below 12 at any point within that semester will jeopardize your aid, and the aid will be removed from your account. The next requirement is that students successfully complete their courses, right? So if you're attempting a course, we anticipate and actually require that all students who are enrolled are successfully completing at least 2/3 of all attempted credits. For those that are receiving a scholarship, a merit scholarship from AU, that's the presidential, the dean, or any other merit scholarship, you must maintain at least a minimum 3.0 cumulative GPA. We don't round. So even if you get a 2.99, unfortunately, that is not a 3.0, and you're in jeopardy of losing your scholarship. For all other aid recipients, need-based aid recipient, the cumulative GPA requirement is a 2.0. So students must achieve at least a 2.0 cumulative GPA in order to be able to retain eligibility for the financial aid that they've received, the need-based financial aid. All right, what should you be doing right now? If you haven't already, please head on over to the myau.american.edu student portal and accept your aid. Your student must log into the MyAU portal to accept the financial aid by clicking on the finances option, and then again clicking into the financial aid accept my award option in order to do so. For a subset of our population, those that have applied for need-based aid, if you were selected by the Department of Education for a process called verification, we've already contacted you and requested additional information from you. If we haven't contacted you, you haven't been selected, and you do not need to submit any additional information. But if you have, please, if you've received correspondence from us, please go ahead and log into the go.american.edu/verification site to submit the documentation that we've requested. Now, for my students who are opting to, or who've elected to borrow the direct subsidized or direct unsubsidized loan from the federal government, there are 2 requirements that you must complete. Thankfully, those requirements, once you fulfill them, they're a one-time deal. Throughout your undergraduate studies, you won't need to repeat the completion of this process again. So if you're accepting your loans, your federal loans, you'll need to complete a master promissory note and an entrance counseling requirement. It'll tell you, all of the things that you need to know about the loans that you're securing. So that's the loan disclosure. And you may complete both by going to the Department of Education's studentaid.gov site and on the main page, selecting the 2 options underneath, common actions. So it's on the main page, and you'll see master promissory note along with the entrance counseling requirements. And then, as I mentioned before, federal work study and student wage positions are already being listed for the upcoming year. Students are able to view the positions that are available through the american.edu/student jobs site. All right, I know I have thrown a lot of information at you. in a short period of time, just know that we're here to assist you. This last slide actually is just an overview of the financial aid timeline, processing timeline. So in July, as Jean has indicated, students and families will be able to view what we hope will be a comprehensive bill, because at that time we hope that our students have registered for classes, have selected their rooms on campus, their meal plans, and so all of those charges should be reflected on the bill. Provided that students accept their aid through the myau.american.edu portal, the aid that has been accepted will appear as pending on the bill. Now, why is it pending? Well, unfortunately, the federal government does not allow the financial aid office to apply the financial aid to student accounts until right around the first day of class. So we will put the aid on the system as pending so that you know exactly what to anticipate as funds that will credit to the account, so that you'll pay the difference between what's being billed and the amount that has been applied as pending aid. The difference is what you'll be responsible for, as the pending aid will disperse and cover that portion of the bill. Once classes begin, that's right around late August, we encourage students to be in contact with their financial aid counselor if they have any questions. We send out reminders right around late September, October, to remind students and families that the FAFSA should, knocking on wood, be available by the 1st of October. Past couple of years, this has not been the case, but we're hoping that for the 26-27 academic year, that the FAFSA will be actually available on the 1st of October. And then come December, we send our students off back home during winter break. And the spring bill will be issued around that time as well and due in January. Financial aid will disperse on the first day of classes in January as well. So students and families can anticipate having the spring portion of their aid credited to their account. And then in March, for those that do not complete their FAFSA, during that spring break period, we remind them to do so, so that they meet our May 1 priority FAFSA deadline. And then finally, and this is really important, the timeline in which students can anticipate receiving notification of their aid shifts. Once a student is matriculated, meaning that they've attended a full year at AU, we are required by law to conduct something that's called a satisfactory academic progress audit. Now, this audit is to ensure that students have met the minimum standards, which we discussed in the previous slide, of the financial aid that they've received. So again, for students that are receiving scholarship funding, they need to maintain a cumulative GPA of at least a 3.0 and successfully complete 2/3 of all of their classes. And then for those that are need-based aid recipients, they need to at least have a minimum 2.0 cumulative GPA and successful completion of at least 2/3 of all attempted credits. Once we're able to make that determination, when grades for the fall and spring semesters have been accounted for, meaning it's the end of the spring semester, professors have a set period of time to submit grades for that final semester, and we begin our audit and our review of students' progress right around late May, early June, and throughout June. So students and families can anticipate receiving their financial aid notification for the upcoming year right around that last week in June, the very first day in July. So we strive to have all notifications out by the 1st of July, so that when students receive their bill that first week in July, that the pending aid will be reflected. So that is the financial aid timeline for an academic year. The timeline for award notification does shift. There's no need to panic, but that's only because we're required to do or to conduct an audit of students' progress before we can award for the upcoming year. All right, and with that, that's the end of the financial aid presentation.
All right. Thank you very much, Charlene. And last but certainly not least, we have Precious discussing one card and mail services. So Precious, take it away.
Great. Good evening, everyone. I'm Precious Smith. I'm the Associate Director of Auxiliary Services. We handle a lot of those other business services that come into play around your academic life here on campus. We're going to just move on, just so I can show you a little bit about what some of those services are. We're going to be dealing with one card and mail today because it's about what you need to know before you get here. But some of the other things that are a part of our auxiliary services are also the campus store as well as dining. So those are all separate presentations that you will get a little bit later. So we're going to move on to the one card. One card is essential. Your one card is your key to campus. Not just being facetious there. It is how you will access buildings. It's how you'll access your room. It's how you will access your meals. It is a way to get books. It is also a way to print for those of us who still use a little bit of paper. The important thing about this card is that in order for it to be a timely and beneficial process for you, you are going to have to submit your photo to AU by July 18th. So that's a lot of time, people. The sooner you do it, the easier it will be for you. You will be alphabetized. You'll be ready to go whenever you step foot on campus. We need to have your picture ready so that we can have your card ready. Your card will be encoded so that you can use it immediately. If we don't have your picture and information, there are going to be long lines that you are not going to be very happy about. So making sure that you have submitted a photo, if we can go on, that you've submitted your photo by July 18th is going to make sure that you are poised to get into your room and be ready to start classes. So just so that you know what is expected, we told you about the deadline, but just so that you know, if you do not submit a perfectly acceptable photo, it will be rejected. Rejected photos put you at the back of the line. And again, we're talking about lines here. So you want to make sure that you are sending us a color photo. Usually something standard. It does need to be JPEG or PNG, but about the size of a passport photo. Usually that is something that is compressed enough for us to be able to fit it. Gives us good pixelation so that we make sure that your ID card looks like you. But you want to make sure that you don't have a hat on, that you're not wearing sunglasses, that you are allowed to smile. It does not need to be a DMV photo. You want to make sure that you are not wearing anything that has too many words on it. I apologize, but no, your mortarboard and diploma photo will not be acceptable. You don't want too many complicated backgrounds. You want a simple color forward-facing photo with a white background or light blue background, and we will make sure that you are ready to go when you step on campus to get your card. So here's the next piece. I do recognize that many of our newest students don't always come with a driver's license, let's say, but we do need to verify your identity, right? Some people have common names. So your government issued photo ID is absolutely necessary. Do not leave it in the car to be unpacked by your parents. Do not put it in your backpack to be unpacked into your room by your parents. You must arrive on AU's campus with your government issued ID, government issued photo ID, prepared to show it to us to receive your AU ID. Often we get students who have just taken their driver's test and they have a paper copy. If it does not have a photo on it, you will not necessarily be at the front of the line. It then requires us to do a very long and involved verification process. So, for those of you who aren't driving or aren't planning to drive by the time you arrive on campus, you might be interested in getting a state issued identification card. If you have military ID, if you have a passport, those are all acceptable. We do like to joke, we say government issued photo ID. Sometimes our international students are a little confused. We did not say it had to be our government. It needs to be a government issued photo ID. Your passport from your home country, your naturalization card, your photo or passport photo ID card are all acceptable, right? So some of the other things about Move In, many of our students, we are blessed to have a truly diverse population. And so our students come from everywhere. It is not always economical or advised to fly with all of your belongings. So you can mail your belongings prior to move in. Some things that we want you to know and understand about that. So the mail services website is up to date. You should know that we do not have a lot of space, additional space on campus. So, in order to make sure that we can get everyone's belongings and get them into or at least get them close to your rooms, we do ask that you send your information, that you send your packages no sooner than 3 days prior to your arrival. We use that as a time frame to be able to move your belongings as close to your residence hall as possible so that you don't have to traipse all over campus when you're moving things in. For the earliest residents, that is going to be, yes, it did. That is going to be August 13th. Um, Certainly, just make sure when you are mailing things that you've checked with your shipping company and that where it's supposed to go. Now, the important piece about this, you see, there's actually no limit to the number of packages. You do want to make sure that the packages are appropriately addressed. We do use a single address for the campus. Your packages should have your name on them. They should have your residence hall. And then they should all have that 4400 Massachusetts Avenue Northwest on the address. And right, so that's what it should look like, right? So we have one address, that 4400. I should make note that you should put Northwest. We are a city of quadrants. You do not want your package 13 miles, 14 miles from here. First, last name, building name, and room number. You will receive an email to make sure that your packages have been received, to know that you can come and get them. And that all happens again when we talk about making sure that your AU email is there and actually that you're reading it. That will also help you get your packages. Okay.
Precious, I don't mean to interrupt you. There is a message for those of you that have already signed up for AU alerts. I just wanted you to know that yes, there are some alerts that have just gone out. We have a tornado warning for this area. And so, if you are in the vicinity, please adhere to whatever advice that's being given. And that's the reason that you see the police activity urgent alert that has gone out. And so typically additional information will follow when there is an alert.
Great. Thanks, Charlene. So for students and parents, one of the things that we wanted to also make sure, sometimes parents are concerned that refrigerated or medications that need to be refrigerated be mailed to the student, that the student could get them. We absolutely have facilities that will allow for medication to be mailed or to be shipped that can be held. But again, students need to be conscious and need to check their emails regularly. They will start with emails. They will also text you to make sure that you know that you have a package waiting for you. We've set up systems that try and make sure that you can get your mail in a timely fashion, but you still need to be in communication with us. When you arrive on campus, mail services will be up and running. We have the regular hours posted on the slide, but there will be move-in hours so that students can get their favorite bedspread or whatever decorative tchotchkes you've sent ahead. All of that will be available when you arrive on campus, as long as you've mailed it 3 days prior to your move in. Okay? So that is a lot about how we want to help you before you get here, making sure that you have the right ID available so that you can get your Campus One card. Anything that you need to mail to campus, making sure that you're checking that it is addressed properly and can be stored for you so that it can be available to you as soon as you enter campus. If there are questions about photos, photo ID, how it is that you're going to do some of that stuff, we're happy to answer those questions. You can always contact us at any of the emails here. You can also contact us via phone. We do still answer the phone, but we're here to help, and we're so looking forward to having you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Precious. So now I would like to shift to the Q&A portion. Real quickly before I do that, though, here's a quick overview of some of the content as well as our presenters. So while you're thinking of some questions, I do just want to give a quick plug to the rest of our New Eagle Essentials webinars. If you liked this one, there are four others in this session or in this series that you're able to participate in. Academics at AU, which aligns with Canvas model number 2. That's going to be coming out on Monday. Campus Life, which is going to be in the beginning of July, that aligns with Canvas model 3. Student engagement, that aligns with Canvas model 4 in about mid-July. And then the last webinar of our New Eagle Essentials series is going to be AU and Beyond, and that's going to take place at the beginning of August. But with that out of the way quickly, I do just want to go back to this to take a look at some of the questions that were asked throughout this entire presentation. I know a few of you had some questions throughout this presentation, and I know some of our behind the scenes staff have been answering them. But if you have more questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and we will respond to them as best as possible. I'm also looking through the chat right now to see if there's any ones that we currently missed, but it looks like we have a number of them that are responded or that have been responded to. The first question I see is about move-in dates. Precious, do you want to handle that, or would you like me to take that one?
So about move-in dates, what's our question? So move-in dates. This is precarious. So the scheduled move-in dates are Sunday, August 17th, and Monday, August 18th. There will be from housing. You're going to see a big housing presentation, but they're going to be scheduled times for you to sign up to move in. They want you to stick to those times. So we are an urban campus, and when you don't stick to your time, things get backed up. We have parents in cars. We have folks in Ubers coming from the airport. They will be opening up those scheduled times for you in the coming weeks. Students are still actually doing the housing selection process, so you will keep an eye out for that. They will email you and let you know, hey, you can now schedule your arrival time, and they will go from that. The thing that I want to be careful of, and they will tell you no, there is one day that we call an early move in. It is actually for those students typically who have some type of international issue where it's hard to get a flight from literally a world away, and they are on the ground on the 16th, or that's what their visa says that they can enter the country. So there are a few opportunities and a few slates for an early move in. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say if you are a domestic student inside the contiguous 48, we will see you on the 17th.
Another related question, do early decision students move in early? You'll not be moving in early. You'll still be chosen between either the 17th or the 18th, but you do have an earlier slot for the course registration process. But again, as Precious just said, for move-in, everyone except those few specific situations are going to be moving in on either Sunday the 17th or Monday the 18th. Same goes for the honors program. The only other exception that Precious didn't mention is if you are in some sort of like pre-orientation program that requires you to do something before orientation begins. That, however, is not something that you as a student have to worry about. We are working like busy bees at AU right now. So if you know you're part of a pre-orientation program or a living learning community, that program director already knows to get in contact with our housing team to make sure you've moved in when you're supposed to. So again, right now, all you have to do is sit back and wait for your date to be assigned to you, and that's going to come out later this summer as well. I saw another question. How do we sign up for AU alerts? I believe someone dropped it in the chat already, but it is an option on the new student checklist. There is an option to sign up, and then it walks you through those steps directly as well. Um, let's see some other questions. Here's a question. I'll be using the GI Bill post 9/11 and the yellow ribbon. When will these show up on my bill, or will I need to subtract this from my own bill? That sounds like a combination Alicia and Charlene question.
Can answer that one. So we actually aren't able to request the tuition and fees until after ad drop, so about 2 weeks into the semester. And so at that point, once we've requested the funding, you'll see it about a week or so later. So the GI Bill is one of those that when we're looking at that August 1st deadline, we just want to make sure that you have a plan, and you do. It's to pay via the GI Bill and yellow ribbon. So we will wait for that funding to arrive. We know it's delayed, and we'll wait for it to arrive. You won't have any finance charges or late fees on the account. So yes, subtract that from your bill to determine if there's any other charges that might be due, like housing or meal plan or something that's not directly covered.
Thank you, Alicia. Is there any information in this orientation different for transfer students? The main difference for new students or first year students versus transfer students is how you all sign up for course registration. Transfer students, there is specific information on the new student orientation webpage about getting in touch with your academic advisor to kind of talk through which ones best work for you, which courses work best for you. Whereas with the first year students, that is a much more one-on-one connection with your academic advisor. You should have already received an introductory email from your academic advisor talking about what what courses they think you should register for. Whereas with transfer students, it's more on you to reach out to your academic advisor to kind of begin that conversation. But again, that is all on the new student orientation page under the step 2, which is selecting your courses. You're so welcome. How can we find Eagle Service 101 guide for how to build a class schedule? So there are two options for that. One, I know our folks on the academic side of this are hosting an Eagle Service webinar that takes place this Wednesday, I believe. June 11th is sticking in my mind. And that walks you through the Eagle service process and how to build a class schedule. And another option is for you to join our orientation chairs for their Eagle service drop-in hours. Our orientation chairs are current students who have gone through the class schedule building process a couple of times now. So if you have any questions about that, you're able to drop into one of our Zoom rooms at any point this week or next week and kind of ask them their advice on how to best build a schedule. If you go to the New Eagle newsletter that was sent last night, there is information on those Eagle Service drop-in hours and where and how to get in touch with our orientation chairs. Thank you, Chris. You can sign up for the Eagle Service webinar right there. All right. Does UPass and other not exactly academic programs get covered by financial aid? Charlene, would you like to take this one?
I just want to make sure that I understand the nuances of the question. Let's see here. It says, I'm so sorry. I'm just checking.
No,
Would you
that's
reiterate
okay.
that question for me?
Yeah, it says, does UPass and other not exactly academic programs, so I'm thinking co-curricular, get covered by financial aid?
So UPass is part of the cost of attendance. So the components within the cost of attendance are, tuition, mandatory fees, your housing, your food, transportation, which is where UPass falls in. And then there are books along with what we call miscellaneous or incidental expenses. All of that is covered by financial aid. However, um, co-curricular costs for, say, registration for a specific club, or even your if you're not in your first year or even in your second, but if you decide that you want to have a vehicle on campus, your parking pass, for instance, would not be covered by financial aid. So there are certain costs that are built into the cost of attendance. All of the things that are built into the cost of attendance are covered by or can be covered by aid. Anything outside of the cost of attendance will not be covered by your financial aid.
Thank you. And we have another financial aid question. What happens if my financial aid and scholarships together exceeds the cost of attendance? If the scholarships are for degree-related expenses, can I use those for other purchases I need to make outside of those charged to the university?
Nope. So as it states, cost of attendance dictates the amount of assistance or aid that you can have. And it does preclude you from receiving funding that's designated as educational funding. So you cannot receive educational related funding that exceeds the cost of attendance. So at some point, either the institution, meaning AU, will have to reduce the funding that it provides to you, or will return the funds to the outside entity or organization. Unfortunately, you cannot use funds that are designated for educational cost for things outside of educational cost.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's see. What is the appropriate documentation needed to submit with the insurance waiver? Jean, would you like to tackle that one?
Sure. Generally, it's something as simple as a copy of the front and back of your insurance card. In some cases, if it can't be confirmed with that information, we'll ask for a letter from your provider.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. And with that, it looks like our Q&A is slowing down. So I am gonna end this here. I just want to say thank you all very much. Thank you to both our presenters as well as our audience for being here. And just one more time, I'm going to say if you enjoyed this, please consider joining us for any of our upcoming New Eagle Essential webinars. We would love to see you all again. And with that, whether it is morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you all in August. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.